Good evening, everyone. Before I start off with my actual talk, I just want to say that I'm so humbled to have had the chance to be invited here. And I'm so grateful that this event is taking place in the first place. And I think that we do have some people to thank for that. And I think that those people are mainly Sophie, Bianca, and Will. Sophie again. I think they did an amazing job, and I think they do deserve a round of applause. So please give it. They have been incredibly supportive of all of us, and they've been so encouraging throughout this entire process leading up to the actual event. And you know, over the years, I was fortunate enough to receive words of encouragement from many people around me. No matter the challenge, there was always someone attempting to cheer me up, to help me wind down, or to just ensure that I knew and was aware that I was never alone in whatever I was doing. Needless to say, this is one of the few things that has kept me sane throughout this entire process of me growing up. It's one of the few things that has kept me from going completely mad. But in a way, it's also one of the things that has, in some instances, brought me closer to madness. And that is because good intentions do not always yield good results. As such, some very thoughtful people have ended up telling me some very unthoughtful things, even without realizing it. And perhaps one of the most unthoughtful things that have been said to me, one of the most destructive phrases that have ever been uttered to me, was the following: there is no limit to what you can do. Or, more commonly, the sky is the limit. To those having told me this, I now say a firm no. After years and years on end of believing in this idealistic view of human capacity as being effectively without boundaries, I now understand that the sky is not my limit, but my humanity is. Exhaustion, lack of motivation, or just a desire to simply disconnect from everything and just calm down for a bit. These are all things that are integral to the way that we function as human beings. And that's perfectly fine. But it's so disconcerting to know that it's sort of inappropriate to be standing here in front of you and tell you all of these things. Now, I'm aware that this might sound quite cynical or maybe even off-putting. Some of you might even accuse me that I'm being hypocritical because I'm advocating for something that sounds like self-sufficiency when I, myself, have not been professing it in my own life. But it is precisely because of my repeated and relentless refusal to accept my own limits that I now treasure their understanding so much. Allow me to explain. I started high school with an impetus incomparable to anything I had previously experienced. That was me wanting to do anything and everything to get a taste of what the good life really was like. This meant that I felt as though I had to fill my time with activities as diverse and challenging as humanly possible. Of course, at that time, it was what I should have been doing, and having made this choice is what empowered me to grow as a human being. It was this drive of mine to do as many things as possible at the same time that brought me fulfillment, recognition, knowledge, and ability. All of them in quantities inconceivable without a proportional investment of time, energy, and dedication. This is to say that wanting to experience life at its fullest is not inherently bad, but that it matters for you to understand when this benign, even constructive desire ends up turning into something far more dangerous. At one point, my willingness to just try everything started to become not a means to an end, with the end being self-actualization or even happiness. It became an end in itself, and it was then that things really started crumbling. And no, I'm not talking about any violent emotional outburst or any resounding failure, but I'm talking about the continual and painfully subtle feeling that while you are doing a lot of things, you're not doing anything properly. Because you're split up between so many of them at once, you're not capable of investing as much energy as you should in the ones that you truly, deeply, and passionately care about. Tiredness that ends up overtaking you, pushing you further and further away from achieving anything of real value in whatever you are doing. And so, our natural limits as human beings dictate that there is only so much that we can give the world. It is then wise to decide what precisely you want to give the world and how you want to do it. This is the truth about priorities. If everything is a priority for you, then nothing really is. What all of this meant for me is the following. Firstly, that I should only be doing the things that spark in me unparalleled joy and excitement. And secondly, that even when it comes to those things, I can't do everything alone. Although these do sound like perfectly reasonable conclusions to come to, the process of actually implementing them in my daily life was heart-wrenching. Seeing as I had already immersed myself in all sorts of different activities prior to this eye-opening realization, I had to go through a lengthy process of saying no to so many things that I would have otherwise happily accepted. Most painfully, I forced myself to give up on some of my passions, such as writing, because I knew that however much I loved them, there were other things that I loved even more. I had chosen to relieve much of the burden that I had been carrying upon my shoulders, precisely in order to have the time, but also the mental capacity required to reach new heights in what I would then understand to be one of my biggest passions, and that is debating. When I became part of the national debating team of Romania, I perceived it as just another stage in an individualistic pursuit of performance and, to a certain extent, also of recognition. Since then, the unprecedented challenge that the World Schools Debating Championship poses to all of us in the team has finally dawned on me. And I began to understand that appropriating certain events in your life, regarding them as yours and yours only, seeing them as your time to shine and nothing else, actually ensures that you will be emotionally crushed by the weight of the responsibility that they entail, but they also just set you up for failure. Navigating this newly discovered truth was the focus, and still is the focus of my journey as part of the national debating team. And although it is hard to swallow, it is incredibly rewarding to succeed in doing it. What it has ultimately brought me is something that I had been lacking for quite a while, and that is peace. Not in the sense that I do not grasp the daunting task that's ahead of us, of course I do, and we all do, but in the sense that I now understand that it is not about me, or about my performance, or about my skills and my success, but it is about what I can accomplish together with 4 other people whom I have learned to trust and value for who they really are. So what I am at the end of the day advocating for is, above all, self-reflection. It is only when you understand what genuinely matters to you and how much of it you can handle that you can actually begin to build something that is long-lasting. It is only after correctly defining your personal limits without either hastiness or self-sufficiency that you are able to carry on with the things that you can make happen and do it in a way that fulfills your potential. It is only after recognizing you are incapable of handling everything on your own that you can truly acknowledge how important the value that other people bring to your life really is. None of this can happen in the absence of an unconditional surrender in the face of your own imperfection. So, if you need one takeaway from this entire thing, let it be this: that human nature, with all of its boundaries and limitations, is neither something we can evade, nor something we ought to contemplate evading. And that ultimately, breaking away from everyone else in the pursuit of your own self-centered success can only be a recipe for disaster. For other people around you, but most importantly, for yourself. Thank you.